All right. Folks, we welcome you to this internal call where one of our premium members, Dan Stewart, has very graciously offered to talk to you. Dan has been really one of the earliest adopters of 1 million by 1 million and also has used the process and the methodology really, really well. And it shows in the results that he's been able to generate. He's already a third of the way to the 1 million number, and all of that has happened within the 1 million by 1 million framework. Of course, we have other members who started off at a 250K or 500K level and are crossing right now. But Dan's situation is particularly interesting and inspiring because he's gone from zero to, right now he's doing 30K a month following the methodology. So Dan will be talking to you about what specifically he has done that has worked for him, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Now, one Q&A rule is before you ask a question, please introduce yourself, okay? So Dan, over to you.
Very good. Well, good morning to many, good afternoon to some, and good evening, I suppose, to some others as well. So I want to start by saying that I very much appreciate your decision to launch this program, Sramana. It's been incredibly helpful for us. And, I say that not as an inexperienced entrepreneur, but someone who's started and had other successful companies as well. I think there's so much value in what you're doing that when you asked me to participate today, I just jumped at the chance.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. So one of the things that I've noticed in my career, I imagine there are some people on the call in the same position where you start your business and you get a lot of outside pressure from the people in your lives. Maybe your spouse or your friends, maybe your parents or other family members. Some can be very supportive, and others, just think you're crazy by having the guts to be willing to do something that so many people just aren't. So that takes a special little personality defect, I think, to really have the confidence to go forward with that and be fully committed to it. That's also reflected in this term that's come about, wantrepreneur, where we see a lot of people who are sort of dabblers, and they dunk their toe in the water, but they don't really fully commit to the idea of building their business properly, which is part of why I like your program so much. I want you to think about it from this situation. If you got a call from a friend and they said, let's go for a flight. I have a small airplane. I'd like to load you in the co-pilot seat, and we'll go fly around for a little while. You would, just imagine yourself sitting there. You'd be confronted with all these dials and levers and switches and buttons, and you'd know they're all important, but you really wouldn't know what all of them do or the order that you should use them in, and, that can be a bit overwhelming. Now, the person next to you absolutely knows what they all do. That person's a pilot. They've had lots of training. They know how to use everything in the airplane to safely fly and to safely land. Thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people, maybe more, know how to fly an airplane. It's something that can be taught, and we could all learn to do that if we decided it was important to us. It's important to note that nobody ever just shows up at the airport and says, I think I'll learn to fly today, and just goes out for a flight. But I think that happens all the time in business. Maybe someone lost a job, or they've just decided it's time and they don't really understand what level of preparation they need to succeed. I think that part of what your program does is help people get that flight training, that preparation that they need to really be prepared to go out about their business in a process-oriented way. And that's where I really kind of wanted to focus my comments today, was the idea of process, because this program does a great job of laying out a roadmap of the things that we can do that will have a positive impact on our business. And there's no question that it's a sound methodology. It works. It's proven. It's not unique to any business, and it can be used and implemented wherever you happen to be in the world. These are all very important things. maybe some people on the call today were like me when I first discovered the program. We had been toying around with the idea of Happy Grasshopper since October of 2010. And for those of you who may not know, Happy Grasshopper is a very simple company. We have a team of writers. We create fun, friendly email messages that help people keep in touch with their sphere of influence. We've focused our efforts on marketing to the real estate community, and we're growing quickly there. Revenues last month were slightly over $35,000, and we're continuing to add dozens of new customers every single day. So it's a very, very exciting time for us. But back in October, we were fooling around. We were just sort of experimenting to see if we could really do a better job of keeping in touch than people could do when they were using their do-it-yourself email marketing tools. So at that point, I was aware of Sramana. A friend of mine had mentioned me to her. I sat in on a round table, and I just thought about it for a while, and I thought, well, this is very interesting. All these entrepreneurs are really being very deliberate. They're thinking about what they need to do, and I could benefit from that. So, after a month or so of thinking about it, I joined in February. And, the way I really have come to think about it is that's when I signed up for flight training. That's when I actually figured out that I didn't have to discover how to fly and land an airplane after we were in the air. I had this roadmap of process that could really help me very quickly validate my business, confirm that there was a market that was suitable for it, and whether or not it would allow me to achieve my ultimate goals. I've said this before. You've probably seen it as a testimonial on her website, but if I had discovered this in 2007, if it had been around, I would have saved well over $100,000 in just trial and error education. We had started another tech company in 2007, and I sold that in 2010. So probably the most important thing I can tell you about my 1M by 1M journey is how seriously I took it. I just wasn't interested in trying to figure this out. I wanted to follow a roadmap that I felt had credibility and could work well for me. When I had questions as I was going through the curriculum, I didn't just wait or try to figure it out. I asked for clarity. Sramana and I have had a lot of exchanges. When I first joined, I would send her an email, and she would scold me and tell me to ask my question within the curriculum so other people could benefit from it. And you'll see a lot of those questions are there in the curriculum. Now,
can I interrupt you for a second and clarify that point? Actually, I think that is a point that is on a lot of people's minds. What Dan is talking about is the method of Q&A that we practice and recommend in the program. You are very, very welcome to ask as many questions as possible. In fact, we encourage you to ask questions, and it is through those questions that you gain clarity. And what we want you to do is, if you're asking questions about a specific topic that already has a module, curriculum module in the program, we want you to ask those questions in the discussion area allocated for that curriculum module. Why? Because one question that you ask is potentially on many minds, and answering that question in the curriculum area, in the discussion area of the curriculum, gives everybody benefit of the answers. And you can even, you can see somebody's questions and you can follow up on that question and you can get more clarity, and it may trigger other questions in your mind. So that's one piece of it. The second piece of it is there may be questions that come up that do not have a curriculum module yet. Over the last year, little over a year, the curriculum has become a lot richer. We've added lots of modules. We've added lots of case studies. But it continues to do so, and it continues to do so based on your questions. So as soon as we hear questions come up a few times, we turn those into curriculum modules. And the way we do that is we have you ask those questions in the discussion forums and open new threads of discussions where we can thrash out a topic, and then we can turn those into modules as well. And then the third piece of this is you can actually ask me questions by email as well, especially when you're dealing with very specific issues that are very specific to your business. You do have access to email communication with me. So don't be shy or don't be afraid to ask questions by email. People send me stuff to, for input and for review, and Dan has done a lot of that. I would say Dan has been used all three modes of interaction: the discussion forums, the curriculum module discussion areas, as well as per private email exchanges with me. All three of those Dan has done extensively, right?
I have indeed. And as you're talking, you're reminding me of a point that when I first joined, I had read, plan to set aside some time to work on the curriculum. So I went into my calendar and I scheduled appointments with myself to block off a couple of hours each day and really deliberately work through that process. And, I can't stress enough how important that is. If we ever look at our priorities in our life, if it's not on our calendar, it's probably not a real priority. So I just would, if anybody finds themselves saying, yeah, I'll get to it, you're probably just not taking it as seriously as I'd like you to. I think you could benefit from it more if you
it's a very, very good point. And I think there's an amount of self-discipline. If you're looking at online learning of any kind, the success of online learning is very dependent on your own self-discipline. And I think Dan is highlighting how to make that happen. Make appointments with yourselves and allocate time on your calendar to spend time with the online learning system, the curriculum, the video lectures, the case studies. And it's there is no, as I've said in several other venues, that there is no technology at the moment where I can take a chip that is in my head, which takes all the knowledge that's sitting in my head, and transplant that chip into your head. This technology does not exist, not yet. And I don't know if this technology will exist in our lifetime. But meanwhile, we are going to be successful entrepreneurs in this lifetime. And so the only way we can transmit this knowledge that is sitting in the 1 Million by 1 Million program to your head is by having you spend time with the curriculum. That is the whole purpose of us spending so much, investing so much in developing a really thorough curriculum and a thorough methodology. And there's one other point that came up last week, actually. Dan was also there in that roundtable. New technologies, right now the speed of innovation is very, very high. And there are lots of new technologies that are coming out, and we are developing case studies on how to use those new technologies, especially in the domain of social media marketing, online marketing, mobile marketing. All this stuff is very new. So one of the conversations we had last week at the roundtable was about a company called Wildfire. This case study has not been published yet. It will be published shortly. This month it will be published. But I just sat down with Victoria Ransom, CEO of Wildfire, and I learned a ton about how to run very, very inexpensive but highly effective social media campaigns. And they have the platform, they have the technology. This company is doing really well, and Victoria explained in graphic detail exactly how to use Wildfire. Now, you will see how beneficial Wildfire is going to be for those of you who are trying to run social media campaigns. And the reason I referred that to Dan at the last roundtable was because I know what stage Dan is in, and I know Dan has been tinkering with Facebook and all sorts of things. So this is a perfect technology for Dan to experiment with and roll out in his campaigns. And it's very inexpensive. What's the beauty of all this is we are trying to find solutions for you that are very inexpensive and capital efficient. So please spend time with the curriculum and the case studies, and keep going back to it, because we are constantly adding material to that, to the curriculums. And when we add material, we tend to alert you to those new case studies and so forth. And then the other segue I will make based on that is to the roundtables. And I would like Dan to address how you've used the roundtables, Dan, because we are seeing a lot of the members not coming regularly to the roundtables. I understand that you're all very busy, but if you commit to coming to a private roundtable once a week, the benefits of that are immense. So Dan, if you could address that point a bit, that would be wonderful.
Well, sure. Well, first I want to say that the first roundtable I participated in, I viewed that as sort of a progress report. It was a chance for me to finally get to speak with you instead of just these messages back and forth, and to see whether or not I was on the right track with my understanding of the curriculum and the way we had applied it to understand what market potential we had, and if we were taking the right steps towards customer acquisition. So that first roundtable, I think, was just incredibly important for me. And everyone that I've presented at since then has been a chance to report some progress and share some successes. And some of those successes, by the way, are succeeding to discover what's not working. That might be called a failure by other people, but as Ramana just said, it's important to experiment, and not be afraid to try different things. Since joining the program, we've revised our pricing model. We've modified our go-to-market strategy slightly. We used to have a freemium. Now the lowest price plan we offer is $5 for your first 30 days. And we discovered that actually by removing the free, we got higher conversion rates. So, experiment. Now, after we had sort of got our legs underneath us and were regularly signing up customers, I felt like I would say a duty or an obligation to give back to the community and share the things that I've learned, as well as to just engage and interact with entrepreneurs from all over the world. It's been really great to do that. And every roundtable I attend, I'm always first reminded of the things that I haven't touched on in a while as I discover other entrepreneurs going through the curriculum. And then, like the example you brought up, Sramana, wildfire is something that could very much help my business that I was completely unaware of. So I am looking forward to experimenting with that.
Right. And I think there was another discussion that comes to mind. I think you were there at that discussion as well at one of the roundtables on email marketing. And I think it was Kevin Fullerton who wanted to discuss email marketing. We had an extensive discussion on email marketing, including a lot of the subtleties of email marketing, like double confirmation. Now, I can guarantee you, those of you who are on the call today, unless you have actually experimented with an email marketing campaign, you have no idea what double confirmation is and why it's such a big, crucial issue. So, but double confirmation is a really vital nuance of email marketing. You have to understand double confirmation. Now, we had an extensive discussion at that roundtable where Kevin Fullerton brought up email marketing on all these subtleties. And I think the point there really is that you learn from other people. You learn from triggers that just come up at the roundtable. To see that's the 1 hour, an hour or 90 minutes every week that you're committing in going to class. You're doing the entire rest of the curriculum at your own time. You're not demanding that you follow any other person's schedule other than your own. That's just the 1 hour when we are making kind of an office hour available to you. This is your opportunity to ask questions, right? Even if you're not pitching, you still ask questions. Pretty much every session I try to keep some time to do audience Q&A and touch upon the, high mind share issues that are in the people who are in the room that particular session. So we do a lot of Q&A at those roundtables, and I really cannot emphasize and overemphasize the importance of attending roundtables. So those of you who are in the room today, I would really like you to take away one overriding point, that is attend the roundtables, and the second overriding point, which may be actually the first overriding point which Dan brought up, is really use the curriculum. If you don't use the curriculum, you're pretty much wasting your money being in this program. There's no way that we can transmit this knowledge to you if you do not use the curriculum. And the other point Dan made about experiments is important because we are all working with different market segments. We have certain tools and techniques, and which tools and techniques work in your market segment is actually specific to your market segment. Some market segments respond to some techniques, others respond to other techniques, and we just have to test those segments and run these quick experiments. And when we fail, experiments often fail. When experiments fail, we want you to fail fast so that you don't spend a lot of time, wasting a lot of time on stuff that is not going to go anywhere. But that process of experimentation, you can always ask questions. As you're in the middle of an experiment, you can always come back and ask questions. This is what I'm seeing. Is that good or bad? So recently, one of our members, Raghava Kashyapa, was running a Sales 2.0 campaign. This is his first Sales 2.0 campaign. He learned the methodology through the curriculum, and he ran a Sales 2.0 campaign. And he came back and asked me, well, the conversion rates are really low. I got 2% conversion rate, and the email marketing open rates are 10 to 12%. And it's a lot of work to run these campaigns, and I'm disappointed that we only got 10 to 12% open rates and 2% conversion rates. What did I tell him? Those are industry average numbers, so you're doing damn well. Keep going. And why is that important? Because he got a chance to calibrate against industry averages and feel better about what he was doing. So what was the next step? He ran these campaigns on 2 states, and then we took that. We did a complete debrief of his numbers and his statistics at a round table. And then we identified 2 other states where he was going to next roll out the campaign, put the existing leads that have not converted on a lead nurturing program, and some of those would convert over time. These are just mechanics of business. And I love the analogy you gave, Dan, of a co-pilot, somebody who knows. If you go into flight training, somebody who's teaching you that flight, how to fly, knows a little bit more than you do potentially. And that's what you're taking advantage of here, is because we have brought together industry knowledge in a very compressed, concise, easy to deliver forum. And we need you to take advantage of the elements of that program to make your flight training quick. We don't want, you see, in my early entrepreneur days, and I think that's true about Dan as well, we are multiple generation entrepreneurs. I'm on my 4th venture plus 10 years of consulting in between. Dan is on his 5th or 6th venture. We are serial entrepreneurs. But when we started, nothing like this existed. So we had to make every mistake ourselves and learn from those mistakes. That takes a lot of time. What we're doing here is trying to cut short that time, because there is a history of entrepreneurship now over the last 2-3 decades. We've been able to bring a lot of that experience, synthesize it and learn from it, develop, do pattern recognition on it, and develop pieces which you can learn. You don't need to make all those mistakes. Do you want to add to that, Dan? Other points, other thoughts?
I do. There's so much here. There's just so much here. It's tough to summarize it, but over the years I've come to believe that businesses really stand on 2 legs, process and culture. And I could easily do a whole day on process and culture. Within the ecosystem of 1M by 1M, you've provided the process. It's up to us as entrepreneurs to provide the culture. We've got to make that personal commitment to really work through the curriculum, to be involved in the program, to establish that ongoing conversation. Because, Swarmana is a great accountability partner. Anybody who's ever seen you on a round table knows this. You're not going to nurture people along and indulge their fantasies of having success. You're going to guide them correctly to be disciplined about their activities. And that's just a huge, tremendously huge advantage. So again,
And
Ramana,
would
thank
you
you.
say that
I really appreciate it.
we are not only providing process, we're also providing a culture of discipline and accountability? I think in what you said, we're not indulging in fantasies. We are actually providing a culture of discipline, accountability, and capital efficient, lean culture. We're not recommending you waste a lot of money. We're trying to groom you into a culture of frugality and discipline.
Let me be a bit more specific there. If someone has become a premium member in your program and they're not scheduling the time to work through the curriculum and to be involved in the roundtables, that's a failure of their culture. You can't do that work for them, just like you said a moment ago.
Right.
Everything else that you provide is there for them, but it's up to us individually to have that level of discipline and that internal culture where we're really going to do the work and have the grit to stay through the tricky times and the bad times and finally get to a point where I think we're nearing this now, where we very much understand that X dollars in equals Y dollars out, and it's a matter of just deciding what size business we'd like to become and how quickly.
And that's a very important point to get to. If you can get to the point of you understanding at a granular level what X dollar in means in terms of Y dollars out, you can take that equation to investors and tell them that, okay, now give me 20x or 200x dollars, and I'll turn that into 200y dollars. That's what VCs like. That's what investors like. If you're even contemplating venture capital at any point, this is the point where VCs love to invest, when that equation of X dollars in and Y dollars out is clear. And as I've said before many, many times, we are like a gym membership. You have to do the work. Just buying a gym membership doesn't make you lose weight. And similarly here, just becoming a premium member is not going to make you successful. You're going to have to do the work. And it's really all you can eat. You can do as much as you can use the program as much as you want. And continue to use the program as much as you want for that $1,000 annual membership fee. There's no incremental charges. So use the program. It's like an all-you-can-eat buffet. All right. I think we should take some audience questions now that we've given you at least some perspective on how people are being successful. So again, if you're asking a question, introduce yourself first, if you would, please.
I have a question. This is Joan Parsons from Honolulu. I'm curious, Dan, first of all, congratulations. I just went on your website, and it looks like a great product. I'm wondering how much it cost you to get to your $35K a month revenue.
Sure. That's a great question. Our burn rate has been as high as $20,000 per month. It started considerably lower than that, but as we've grown, we've continued to invest. So our current monthly revenue would be cash flow positive for us, but obviously we still have a long way to go before we've recovered our total investment.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
This is John Lynch. I've got a question. As you go through the process, when you start on segmentation, if it fails completely on segmentation or something, should you go on to a different project?
Yes.
And so you want to
segment. Hold on, John. If you can't find any segment where your idea is resonating, then you need to abandon the idea and go to a different project, different idea.
Without going through all the other processes. If it doesn't pass the first part, go on to the next idea, right?
Yeah, pretty much. If you can't find any customer segment that is interested in your product, there's no point wasting time in putting that same idea through any of the other pieces of the methodology.
Well, now, for instance, on Facebook, I'm interested in Facebook, and especially on the new technologies.
So we're not going to discuss specific projects in this call. This call is about how to use the program. When you come to your specific project, you know the methodology. You do the curriculum, you do the Q&A through the curriculum or discussion forums or through email exchanges, and you use the roundtable pitches to get feedback on your ideas. That's the crux of the methodology.
Okay, I understand. Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Shramana. My name is Nimit Kumar, and I'm from Mumbai. Thanks for the wonderful walkthrough. I had a question about the bottoms-up analysis. So, in certain areas where it's hard to find specific data, say for example, if you're talking about the developer market, we're talking about an open platform which people can actually integrate with, and the platform has a very generic use.
Yeah.
What do you suggest is the best way to do a bottoms-up analysis? Because even when I try to do a bottoms-up analysis, it actually ends up looking like I'm talking at a very high level,
So Nimit, hold on. The answer to your question is you need to first ask this question in the TAM analysis module, in the bottom-up analysis module, and I will dialogue with you there until we get to a very definitive path for you to get to your bottom-up analysis. I will work with you in that module so that all the work that you and I do there together, other people will be able to use it who are working on developing markets.
Sure.
I'm glad you asked this question because it kind of gives you, and I just walked you through how we are building this program so that people can benefit from one another's experience and one another's questions.
Right.
Okay?
Thanks.
So go to the TAM analysis module, the bottom-up analysis module. I'll work with you there.
Thanks so much. Yeah, I'll do that.
Next.
Hi, Shramana and Dan. This is Sanjeev from Tabilo.
Hi, Sanjeev.
Hi, Sanjeev.
I just joined 1NM program last week and managed to spend some time going through a couple of modules. I just wanted to get your tips. A question for both of you: that what would you recommend if we are starting off with the curriculum in terms of we have already done so many stages like bootstrapping, and we're already doing that. We've got some clients, we've got some validation done, and product is selling. How do we trade on the modules that will fix our problems, which are right on our shoulders right now, instead of going through?
Do the self-assessment and see where. Do the self-assessment.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to the site, there's a self-assessment, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Put your idea through the self-assessment and see where you need to focus.
Okay.
I would follow that up by saying, and maybe this is just my personality, but I would want to go through all of it anyway. The bootstrapping
all of the
for
modules, Dan.
There just might be something there that I could still learn from that would benefit me. So that's where I stand on
it.
It
Definitely helps to have all the core modules under your belt, Sanjeev. So even if you don't do it,
I tried to, even before doing the assessment, I tried to learn. Maybe I should learn bootstrapping if there's anything I missed before. But then there's so much that I had to go through with interlink content that I get caught. There's so much good content that I got carried away, and I never went back to things that I should be looking at in the first place.
But do it, just like Dan said earlier, reserve some slots on your schedule every week to do curriculum content. Or maybe every day, spend an hour or 2 hours every day, or maybe 5 hours a week just doing curriculum content. And just if you give yourself a couple of months, you will have had covered at least the entire core curriculum module, and then you can pick whichever elective that you want to double-click down into. But the core curriculum modules, no matter what you're doing, you're going to need to learn.
Sure. Okay. We'll try that.
This is John Lynch. Do you need to go through every case study and every item? I have a tendency to skim stuff, so I must be missing.
The more you skip, the less you learn. This is a very simple thumb rule.
Okay.
The more you study, the more you learn. It's very, very simple.
John, there's a ton of good stuff in there. You just have to do it.
Okay.
And you know that. Let me give you an analogy here. When I was doing this project, when I started to do this project and I was writing the Entrepreneur Journeys books, which preceded the 1 Million by 1 Million program, one analogy I thought of extensively was this notion of having an opportunity to sit down and have coffee with a very experienced entrepreneur who's been very successful and who's willing to share his tips with me. What would I give for that experience? And fortunately, I've had a lot of those experiences, so I've learned a lot because of those experiences, and that's the experience that we are distilling for you. So every case study is like spending a coffee with a very experienced entrepreneur who's being extremely generous to you in terms of sharing their lessons from the trenches.
Sharman, I have to interrupt you here because you're bringing to mind something that I think is so critically important. Anybody who is trying to create a business can find countless sources of business secrets and insider must-know formulas to be instantly successful, and they'll charge you ridiculous sums of money to do this. These courses that are taught in hotel room conference rooms over the weekend, that sort of thing. What you're doing is so legitimate, and it's backed up by all these interviews with verifiably successful entrepreneurs. I'm in awe of the price point that you put this program at. And, again, there's another testimonial I gave you, but in my prior business, I was a member of a program called Vistage, where we pay a $1,000 a month fee. We block off one entire day of our calendar per month. We listen to a professional speaker in the morning, and then we each sort of workshop our businesses and discuss our business issues in the afternoon and evening. I did that for a year at a cost of $12,000, and I've gotten exponentially more value from my membership in 1M by 1M. I told you this on the last call, and I know you won't do it, but your price should be much, much higher.
This is John Lynch. If I may ask another question, I'm really interested in the new technologies like cloud computing, also the.
What is the question? You're interested in new technology.
Also nanotechnology, and there's so many opportunities.
Biotech, nanotech. Elective modules in terms of new technologies and trends are in the curriculum, and those are the electives that we cover. Right now, we don't do clean tech, we don't do nanotech, we don't do biotech, we don't do life sciences.
But
cloud computing, we have an elective module. If you're interested in cloud computing, I would, block out a week or 2 weeks and completely immerse myself in the cloud computing modules. You will come out at the end of those 2 weeks exponentially more aware of what's happening in cloud computing.
Yeah, okay. We pick things that you are familiar with, and we study the modules. You've got one on cloud computing, huh?
Yes. But you're asking me a lot of obvious questions, which gives me the impression that you haven't spent any time on the 1M1M website. And that is a real problem, John. You will not get anything out of this program if you don't spend a lot of hours on the 1M1M website.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. I get the story. Thank you.
We'll have to give other people chances to ask questions. Who else wants to ask a question? Anybody? Okay, while you think about it, I'm going to give you a couple of other tips which are, coming up. I'm seeing people not using it right. One of them is Twitter. We have a Twitter channel with capacity for 200 messages a day, and we make this channel available to the premium members. You have access to this Twitter channel. You can market your stuff through this Twitter channel. There's very clear guidelines on how to use the 1M Twitter channel. So please follow those guidelines. Sometimes I get direct messages on Twitter from, your CMO or your, junior marketing person who's managing the Twitter account that please retweet. Well, you need to please go through the process. We make this completely available to you, but you do need to follow the process and stuff your material into our pipeline so that all that gets picked up. We have a process internally. Think about it. You are managing one company and one company's Twitter channel. We are managing not only our own Twitter channel, but tweets from so many premium members. We need a process and a methodology, and so you're going to have to help us be a scalable process by following the methodology. Similarly, on customer introductions, many of you often ask me for customer introductions, and if I have contacts, as you know, I'm extremely generous with customer introductions. I've published lots of guidelines on that. LinkedIn, how to use my LinkedIn contacts. There's a module that explains to you, it's in Under Sales 2.0. There's a complete explanation of how you can use my LinkedIn channel, my LinkedIn contacts, my LinkedIn network. And you're most welcome to use it. Just follow the methods.
Oh, I've got one more question. This is John Lynch. I've started a blog, and I've just made some few comments, and I get lots of input every day, and I think lots of it is sort of phony input.
Yes,
have you had that experience?
A bunch of spam. That's very possible.
And so I don't know whether to believe these people or not, but some have been very favorable content.
Info. Again, John, ask those questions in the private lounge. This particular discussion is about how to use the program, not about specific issues that you're dealing with. So on that topic, however, on the blog topic, however, again, we let those entrepreneurs, those premium members who are in the program, we let you guest blog on our site. If you have interest in accessing the audience that we have access to, which is entrepreneurs, technologists, executives at various technology companies and so forth, you're most welcome to guest blog. And there are specific instructions on guest blogging. You need to follow those instructions, work with Candice Arnold, who's our blog editor for guest blog. So there are various different ways you can leverage the platform that we have built. Try to understand those mechanics, try to understand those nuances, and that would require that you spend time with the program and follow its methodology. If you go off on your own and this program is just kind of there from, to check into once a month, you will not get much out of this program.
Well, this is Lynch once more. You're suggesting that we use your blog, right?
No, I'm not suggesting that.
John,
I think you've asked a lot of questions. I really want to give other people a chance to ask questions. And those kinds of questions, whether you use my blog or not, part of what I object to in your case is you are not spending any time with the curriculum or the website. There's lots of information that's already there. You're not following any of those instructions, and you are dominating this conversation. I don't think that's
okay.
So please use the program. Please use the curriculum. There's a lot of material that you can learn from. And then, of course, you can ask questions. I'll be happy to answer those questions. But please use the program and not ask these questions without using the program. Anybody else? Who else wants to ask a question or
Hi, Shramana. This is Kumar from UK. And
hold on. Somebody is disrupting the call with an echo. Can you try again?
Okay.
Go
Hi,
ahead.
Shamana. This is Kumar from Viskin, and we joined the program just this Sunday, and
Yep.
I've been attending the free roundtables, and thanks for all the great work. And I spoke to Irina last week and had questions answered, and we joined the program. I have two
Super.
questions. And obviously, I'm going through the curriculum, and I know it's it's very early for me to ask other related questions, but a couple of questions to use this program. One is that, is there any calendar that I can go and see? Because I have seen in the website I couldn't find, so that I can plan my time. For example, I was asking the question to Irina also, what is the time that the private roundtables are happening? Which I was...
Private roundtables link on the site gives you the calendar.
Oh, really? Okay.
If you go on the private roundtables page, we keep all the upcoming private roundtables updated there.
Okay, I'm in the page, but I couldn't see any calendar. Okay. Okay, I'll take a look at it. Because I don't see visibly about the dates and all. Okay. So second thing is that these kind of the calls that we are doing today, is it like regular, any bi-weekly or something, or it is like this is like...
This is the first time we've done this call of how to use the program.
Okay. Okay.
So normally we haven't done a lot of these, but if that is something that you would like more of, we can do more of these calls.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Now, to address your question about the private roundtables, if you go to the private roundtables page, just on the first, above the threshold, and please keep an eye on this space for announcements on dates and schedules of future roundtables. All the dates are right there. In any case, this is not rocket science. The information is there.
And also, this is Irina. Also, you will be getting these reminders from Maureen to register for this call.
For the private roundtables.
Right.
No, but I think what he's asking is a good question, to have the next, 4 or 5 public private roundtable calendar so that you can put them on your calendar up front. That's actually a good way to discipline yourselves.
Yeah, the way
and that information is available.
Okay, so the way I look at it, if there is any calendar link or something like visibly, like the curriculum, all those things, that will be very useful for us to. Anyway, that's okay.
No, it's on the private roundtable link. If you click on the private roundtable link,
I got it. Yeah, I got it.
It's right there.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
And second question is, which is like may not be a very general question, but let's say, so for as an example, our company, we are 3 of our partners or friends. We started, and then we are still a full-time employees. We are working in companies, and then we are funding this through self-funding, and then just we are building, and we have development center in India. Now, when it comes to introductions, let's say LinkedIn profiles, all those things, how do you recommend us to? So one of the things is Twitter. We have like, as a company side reference, we have Twitter accounts. But LinkedIn profiles, all those things, how do you recommend us to introduce to the partners? And for example, I went through the buddies, 1 million buddies, and so how do you recommend ourselves to introduce?
You can say that you're working on a stealth mode company. That's something I see entrepreneurs do often. And by the way, we actually encourage people to keep their jobs while they're working through the concept validation and get as much done before you quit your job and quit the paycheck, because the paycheck helps you bootstrap.
Right.
But while you're doing that, you can just send me introduction requests by saying in the introduction request that you're a stealth mode company and this is what you're looking for, and that would be fine.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Well, looks like we've covered a lot of ground. If there are no other questions, then we'll wrap it up today. And hopefully you will all, follow with a bit more disciplined approach and start attending the roundtables more regularly and start putting the curriculum, making appointments with yourselves to do more of the curriculum on a regular basis, because those are, two vital pieces of making this, flight training program, entrepreneurial flight training program successful. And Dan, thank you very much for spending the time in helping your, fellow entrepreneurs really understand how to use the program better.
My pleasure.